Smart 24, driving business.
Five minutes past 9, and they're still watching Smart Means Business. Manju Barredo with Masika Tsime here, and of course, very grateful as we're heading into the last hour of the show, and of course, discussing, and that is the COP28. But despite all this, we are still reviewing a bit of the COP27 shortly before, because there is something I really want to get into here there were quite lots of pledges that were made during the COP27 in terms of climate financing, but some of the put-up resolutions were known. Countries pledged that, hey, like Germany pledged to offer 47 billion pounds, I think something roughly to that. But when you take a look at in between the line, some of these pledges were not fulfilled to the maximum. And of course, taking a look at France, which also came out and decided to pledging support to finance developing countries, to finance climate change related initiatives. Still, there was, and the funny thing is that in this same year, the nations of French dominancy had coups, and which I believe were part of the developing nations that France was supposed to offer help in terms of financing climate change related initiatives. So what is happening in here? Now, the COP27, the implementation, of course, aimed to translate past pledges into concrete action. That is on the finance front, but some progress was made, a little bit. Now, renewed commitment to the $100 billion annual budget, annual target for developing countries. Now, this long unfulfilled goal, initially set for 2020, was reaffirmed. However, there was no concrete roadmap that emerged for reaching it. And yeah, there was no roadmap that emerged for reaching that particular goal. And now we see the establishment of a loss and damage fund. Now, this historic breakthrough addressed a key demand of vulnerable nations, but lacked clarity on the funding sources and amounts. You know, that is something, another angle that we are taking a look at that.
No, because it usually happens towards the end of the year. It happened actually last year in November still. And of course, it has been a year progress so far. So far, how much do we have? And so far, if you're to, because it's a developing thing, I believe it's a developing thing. Yes, if they pledged, it doesn't mean it's going to take active. It's going to take place
but you see, resolutions are piling every conference.
That's the issue that we have.
But
you know,
do we have a committee that is revising this to make sure this is
but at least so far, so good. The funds are coming in, not very much, because every year they're expecting 1 billion. And, you know, we've now gotten close to ending the year, and it's not even half. We're talking about climate change financing. It's not yet half. It's not even half. So that leaves us a question on how we're going to do this for us to be, I mean, if they have proposed that they're expecting $1 billion per year, and for the first year of trial, we have close to 50%.
Okay.
Does it mean should we give the fact that people are into the recovery of the COVID-19, you know, maybe we could excuse them and you know, say that different economies were actually now, you know, focusing on restructuring their economies.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you see the pledges, really $420 million so far. It's really devastating.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because these are quite heavy investments we're talking about. And now, of course, heading back to some of the previous aspects vis-a-vis what is happening in here, the $100 billion budget remains a little bit of a mirage. If we to take a look at the pledges for previous. Now, developed countries are still far from delivering their fair share. Developing countries are far from delivering their fair share. Now, an Oxfam report revealed that $170 million shortfall, revealed $175 million shortfall between promised and actual contribution. So there is a shortfall of 170 billion wasn't actually contributed to. It was just promised, but it wasn't actually given. Now, let's question the transparency still here when we come to, as concerns linger about how the loss and damage fund will operate and who will hold the countries accountable for making their pledges. That's what I mentioned in earlier when I told you, do we have, resolutions piling after resolutions?
Do we have a body?
Do we have a body that really sits in to make sure? Now, I want to investigate further on Japan's pledge on to finance climate change activities when it comes to France at the same time.
Because so far, I'm not seeing any of those. Maybe for Japan actually how much did they pledge, and because we want to compare how much they pledged and how so far how much they've given it.
I think I'm going to go and check the figure.
Because so far they have in $10 million. $10 million.
They have pledged $10 million.
That is what they have given so far.
Okay.
Give.
I think last time it was about 20. I'm hopeful. Figures just keep my mind, but it's what Japan, France. I'm so sure the countries that pledged to offer help to developing nations for climate change initiatives. Now, we also see here private premises with public strings attached. While the private sector engagement was crucial, some fear that it could come with conditions that prioritize profit over climate action. Now, if we are to dig this really even take it a step further, we talk about the fossil fuels. The fossil fuel elephant, of course, in the room in here. Now, despite the COP27's focus on implementation, the crucial issue of phasing out fossil fuels was actually conspicuously absent. And this silence fuels accusations of hypocrisy from developed nations who preach climate change while clinging to their carbon-intensive economies. And of course, part of the countries that were pointed out to be on the contrary to this includes India and China. And China is a potential investor in coal-related activities. Of course, extracting coal for energy to run the industries. India, China, these are emerging economies, really. And coal, because it seems cheaper compared to transitioning to the renewable energy, which they call in for. Sustainability may not be a reality for this perspective. So it's something that a few countries might actually benefit. Now, Master, we also have the issue of geopolitical tensions and hijacking, which are hijacking the progress of the COP28 resolutions, 27. Now, because I want to understand how exceptional is COP28. Now, the war in Ukraine and its ripple effects on energy markets cast a shadow on the COP27, highlighting the complex interplay between climate change and global security. We have now a conflict between Israel and Palestine happening in here, and it has happened before, the Conference of Parties, 28. Now, we also have the current communities could be the game changers, as we see that while governments actually grapple, grassroots movements and indigenous communities are forging their own paths towards climate resilience. Now, their innovative solutions offer powerful alternatives to top-down approaches. So indigenous societies, indigenous communities are forging their way out, our own solutions. Why do we have to listen to the solutions from above? But we do that. But all these I mean, it all spreads and it shows us the other side of the conference of parties. I mean, in terms of weighing down its impact, most especially to the most vulnerable communities in the developing nations.
But anyway, because if you take an instance of the Morocco instance, the earthquake that happened actually, if you're to, because Morocco is also part of Africa as well. So I saw the EU coming into the World Bank actually. So anyway, just to, the EU actually also pledged to also help in the climate change.
Climate change,
yes.
EU.
And of course, it actually confirmed $145 million.
Okay.
Yeah. If we're to give maybe, to give those that have actually fulfilled their pledge, they could not have fulfilled entirely, but have given in so far.
Yeah.
We have Britain, which gave in over $50 million.
$50 million.
Britain, the UK. Then we have US, which gave in 17.5 million. Then the UAE gave in $100 million. And then Germany also gave in $100 million. Yeah. $100
million.
Yes. Then of course Japan gave in $10 million, and of course the total so far is $420 million.
Okay.
Expectations being $1 billion per year.
Okay.
And so far we have 420 million.
420 million.
Should we say that we put our expectations so high? We could have started with a lower value. With a lower, maybe 500 million, maybe we could actually progress. But anyway, this is till 2030. Probably something that could have changed. But anyway, still here. And of course, the UAE has said, it is going to be launching a new $30 billion private investment fund focused on climate projects in developing countries.
Okay.
Imagine, $30 billion.
$30 billion.
Yes. And of course, the investments will stimulate investments to totaling 250 billion by 2030. Yeah, and of course, here the president Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed said that they are pleased to announce the establishment of the 30 billion fund for global climate solutions. Well, of course, here and of course, emphasis. They expect emerging markets and developing economies except China.
Okay.
I don't know why China is exempted. There could be reasons as to why China is exempted.
Yeah, of course, those are the conflicts that we observe in the process.
We'll need to spend 2.4 trillion every year to address their climate change and development needs. Yeah, so every year, $2.4 trillion. That's a lot of money. Absolutely. I wonder how it's going to be able to get these funds, really. It's a lot of money. But of course, so far not good for Africa. At least the African Development Bank is taking initiative. Yeah, it's the one responsible for climate change funding in Africa. Of course, we saw Kenya getting some share and Uganda getting some share, though it's little money. But how is that money really going to be? Because it's petty small money.
Taking a look.
Yeah. So I remember you posed the question and you asked where does the African Development, who's responsible for the African Development Bank? And of course, who's funding the African Development Bank? Because I don't think Africa as a whole has that.
No, there is potential, just that if we just put aside the belief that we can't do anything of our own without support of foreign interference. It's just the colonial mindset that we still have, though, and it's so big in our institutions, in our financial institutions, which I believe should be actually the forefront in terms of awakening Africans for economic independence. Okay, now we've seen it all for COP28. So what makes the COP28 in Dubai exceptional? Now, of course, on the focus on implementation, and now building on COP28 COP27's theme, COP28 is doubling down on turning pledges into action. So probably, like the pledges for COP27, some were not fulfilled, financial, and we saw 170 billion shortfall. Now, this means the concrete plans, timelines, and the accountability mechanisms for delivering on climate finance adaptation measures and emissions and reductions. And now there is also the spotlight on innovation, recognizing the urgency of the crisis, and as the COP28 will definitely showcase cutting-edge technologies and all that, and more of those renewable energy technologies. Now, inclusive participation, the COP28 aims to be the most inclusive yet with a strong emphasis on representation from developing countries, indigenous communities, youth, and the private sector at the same time. And of course, this broader involvement could lead a more diverse perspectives and ownership of the solutions. And of course, momentum from the COP27, the establishment of a loss and damage fund, which renewed commitment of about $100 billion target to create a foundation for the COP28 to build upon the accelerated progress, really. And but still, when we take a look at the COP28 in United Arab Emirates right now, we need to take a look at the credibility of the United Arab Emirates.
Oh yeah,
it's key. As concerns exist actually, that is about compatibility of hosting COP in a nation heavily reliant on fossil fuels and lacking a strong environmental track record. I don't know whether we see these things, and this could actually overshadow the progress of the fuel accusations of greenwashing. Still, geopolitical tensions point to picture the ongoing war, of course, in Israel, and speaks quite a lot. And now, delivering on the promises, the real test will actually be whether the COP28 translates its lofty goals into concrete actions and financing commitments, because failure to do so could erode trust and actually further delusion, and those most affected by climate change. And now equity and justice, ensuring that developing countries have a say and receive their share of the reception of their share will be actually crucial. COP28 is actually addressing the historical injustices to center that. So could this be part of the key aspects that are making it exceptional? Of course, despite the few loopholes that can be observed in there, being hosted in a country with largely dependent on fossil fuel and the geopolitical tensions, taking a look at the war between Israel and Palestine, where does United Arab Emirates stand? Because this can cast a witness, the same as COP27, the Russian-Ukraine war, cast a witness, the geopolitical tensions as a result of that. But anyway, to back this up, we have the president of Dubai, the vice president is the president of Dubai and the vice president of the United Arab Emirates. He comes out and clearly says the United Arab Emirates is going to pioneer the concept of unity to finance climate change.
But isn't it ironical how all this is happening in the United Arab Emirates? But of course, it's good, actually. It's good that they're spearheading. That means there is need. I've seen the damage that fossil fuels have on the environment.
Very true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think let's have the president of Dubai address this.
We are indebted to you for your service, your accomplishments, and your commitment to climate progress. And allow me to also extend my gratitude to every person in this room. We come from different nations, different backgrounds, and different generations. Yet, we share something vital. At some point in each of our lives, we all made a choice to help carry the burden of a great responsibility, to raise our hands and bear some portion of the weight on our shoulder. That choice is why we are all here in the United Arab Emirates today. The UAE is deeply proud and humbled to be hosting COP28 at a pivotal time in this critical decade for climate action. We know, as you know, the gravity of this moment. We feel, as you feel, the urgency of this work and we see, as you see, that the world has reached a crossroads. And yes, since Paris, we have made some progress. But we also know that the road we have been on will not get us to our destination in time. The science has spoken. It has been loud and clear. It has confirmed that the moment is now to find a new road, a road wide enough for all of us, free of the obstacles and the detours of the past. That new road starts with a decision on the global stocktake, a decision that is ambitious, corrects course, and accelerates action to 2030. Through the global stocktake, we have a chance to unite the three core elements of the climate agenda. We can finally bring mitigation, adaptation, and means of implementation, which includes finance, under one umbrella, united around higher ambition, giving clear direction on nationally determined contributions, and connecting everything we agree here to practical action in the real world. Every nation, every sector, and every one of us has an urgent and an immediate role to play. For my part, I pledge that I will run an inclusive and transparent process, one that encourages free and open discussion between all parties.
Well, that is our co-president, that is Dr. Al Jabba, COP28 president, of course addressing matters to do with unity, as United Arab Emirates will pioneer that. Well, let's take a break for now, as of course we shall be returning to wind this up, and of course we have quite a number of discussions that are coming up, as we have Simon Steele. He's also going to be addressing matters to do with the climate change in here, and he's the Climate Change Executive Secretary. And of course, more of his discussions are going to be coming up shortly. That is after this break. Stick around.